from Pro Football Talk, our longtime friend Mike Florio back here on the program. Good to see you, Mike. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
Rich, I'm doing great. Good to see you. How are you today?
We are great. I mean, week 2, lots to talk about right here. What's at the top of your list? What's at the top of your mental news stack, Mike Florio?
Well, I was listening. I was listening before I came on.
Okay.
How could you forget that Ricardo Montalban was also Khan?
Oh,
in
yeah, he's Khan. Oh, yeah, Wrath of
the
Khan.
Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, spitting
and
his last breath.
He was on
Captain Kirk.
He was on the
Admiral
Herschel
Kirk.
Walker push-up program to get the. Remember, he had the pecs, and really, he did like 500 push-ups a day to get those pecs for that movie.
You think so? I thought they strapped it onto him. You don't
No,
think that
no.
didn't look like he
I
really
remember reading in the newspaper back in
The
those days,
newspaper.
kids. There were newspapers that Ricardo Montalban, as he was doing press for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan,
Yes.
he did a whole lot of push-ups. Although maybe he really didn't. He was just claiming to, and they did some sort of,
I know.
contraption.
The contraption sort of a performance. Like, if there's one thing I know, Ricardo Montalban never needed a performance enhancer. He just woke up that way, no matter what it's in. Let's just jump into the week 2. As I mentioned, what is at the top of your mind here going into week 2? What are you focused in on right here?
Well, and obviously we got a Super Bowl rematch
Yes, sir.
right out of the gates, and the Chiefs didn't look like themselves on Friday night in Brazil against the Chargers. They come home with the Eagles, who didn't have it as easily as we thought they would with the Cowboys, but they didn't have Jalen Carter. I suspect Jalen Carter is going to be ready to go, even though it was his own damn fault that he was ejected from the game before there was even a snap. This whole suspension allows him to play for free on Sunday, and I suspect that he will be ready to go. A.J. Brown, who had 1 target, 1 catch for 8 yards with fewer than 2 minutes to play on Thursday night, he'll be ready to go. And look at what the Eagles did to the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. I think that's going to be very hard to duplicate, but the Eagles are clearly one of the best teams in the NFL, and this is just a tough draw for the Chiefs for their home opener.
Well, how about this? I'll offer a little bit of pushback that the team that didn't look like what they looked like last year in week 1, if you're looking at Chiefs and Eagles, I'll go with the Eagles didn't look like it but they won because of what happened right before the game with Jalen Carter. And, it was a little bit more difficult than we thought. Then the Chiefs did look like last year, except they lost, right? Like they were struggling to get the ball down the field, take the top of the defense off. And part of that was, because they lost Xavier Worthy 3 snaps into the game, maybe. And the idea is that they do want to go deep. They do have a fast wide receiver room. One of them's just suspended. The other one is who knows what Xavier Worthy's status is going to be long-term here. And, is it possible that the Chiefs are eyeing a reunion with Tyreek Hill, Mike Florio? Do you believe on that?
I have been saying, Rich, for several weeks now that I think Tyreek Hill could be this year's Devontae Adams, where when it became obvious last year it wasn't in the cards for the Raiders. Next thing you know, he goes to the Jets for the Aaron Rodgers reunion. The Raiders weren't going to keep him for 2025. Let's get value for him, and they got a 3rd-round pick. I don't think Tyreek Hill will be a Dolphin next year based on his contract and just the overall situation. So why not trade him if things continue to go off the rails? And based on week 1, it's clearly off the rails for the Miami Dolphins. Now, I was told in the aftermath of that week 1 debacle that both the Steelers and the Chiefs are eyeing Tyreek Hill. And the Steelers would be crazy to imagine with Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf with Aaron Rodgers throwing them passes. But it got complicated on Monday because TMZ reported on the existence of court filings in Tyreek Hill's pending divorce case in which his estranged wife accuses him of 8 incidents of domestic violence, including at least 1 while she was pregnant. And the league has launched a personal conduct policy investigation. So I think that any team that would be interested in trading for Tyreek Hill wants to be sure they're not trading for a guy who's going to be suspended before the end of the season. So that is a massive complication that wasn't there when the chatter began of maybe the Chiefs or the Steelers trying to get Tyreek Hill if this Dolphins week 1 trend continues.
So what are you hearing out of South Florida right now, Mike, if anything, based on that 33-8 beatdown that left Mike McDaniel looking for asked about a silver lining, said, well, the silver lining is that we were embarrassed and that should maybe shake a cobweb or 2 around here.
Yeah, and that it can't get worse. Well, it can get worse. Joe Philbin was fired by the Dolphins 4 weeks into the 2015 season with a record of 1-3. So it can get worse. If the losses continue, I suspect that Stephen Ross, the owner of the team, will consider making some sort of an in-season change. And, I love Mike McDaniel. He's got such a refreshing and different way, the authenticity. But, boy, his demeanor and his words, they just land differently when the team isn't good. And the very chill mannerism and just that way of speaking, it doesn't mesh with a guy whose team was just obliterated on Sunday by the Colts. So something's off there, and a lot of the problems that usually manifest themselves for the Dolphins later in the year when they have to play outdoors in the cold, those popped up week one. Week one, they'd been undefeated under Mike McDaniel, and they didn't just lose. They were embarrassed. How quickly can they turn it around against a team from New England that the Dolphins have beaten 7 of 8 times at home, and the Dolphins are 8-2 against the Patriots this decade? This is one that the doctor ordered for the Dolphins, and if they can't win this one, it's going to be a long season for the team, and it could be a short season for the head coach.
Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk right here on the Rich Eisen Show. You can check out all of Mike's stuff online and, of course, on Peacock and NBC Sunday Night Football right here on the Rich Eisen Show. What did you make of the Lions week one? Because week one, and certainly in many parts in our media, is about salting away a narrative or somehow wiping it away. And with Ben Johnson coming in and what they looked like on Sunday in Green Bay, the narrative got a little bit more salted that the coordinator change is going to cost the Lions a step or two based on the last years of ascension. What do you think, Mike?
One of your new colleagues, Kevin Clark, was with me today on PFT Live, and we were talking about the Lions, and it occurred to me during the conversation that the Lions are learning what it's like to be a good team. And there are growing pains that go with being a good team. They lost 8 assistant coaches following the departure of Ben Johnson to be the head coach of the Bears and Aaron Glenn to be the head coach of the Jets. They took multiple guys with them. They have to work this through. And to go from 15-2 in the regular season last year to 0-2 since then, if we add the playoff outcome to the week one loss, 15-2 to 0-2, those fans, I think, are going to be antsy when Ben Johnson brings the Bears into town. And last year, without Ben Johnson as the Bears head coach, on Thanksgiving Day, the Bears were in position to steal that game, but for poor clock management that got the head coach, Matt Eberflus, fired the next day, the Bears could have won that game. And now Ben Johnson is with the Bears. And I would just be very uneasy about everything if I was a Lions fan, because the bar is high now, and it has never been high for the Lions. It's high now, and they're 0-1, and they're facing 0-2 if Ben Johnson come in there and finish the job that Matt Eberflus almost finished last year.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. The Bills and the Ravens, that was amazing. Were you transiting back, or where were you? You were sitting there. Walk me through Sunday night for you on NBC.
Here's what happens.
Unbelievable for you.
We watched the first half in the viewing room, and then right after halftime, we tape an FNIA podcast while we have one eye on the screen, and then it's go change, get to the car, watching the game on Peacock on the phone the whole time, get back to the hotel. So I was back at the hotel when all hell broke loose.
Oh, man.
And I couldn't believe it. And the Ravens have an institutional, I think, stubbornness to recognize when their formula isn't working. And they think they're going to make it to the finish line as all the pieces are flying off of the car. They think they're going to get there before the other car in the race that they've lapped finds a way to catch them, because they don't make any adjustments. They just think that what they've been doing is going to continue to work. And you could feel the momentum. It was palpable. You didn't have to be in the stadium, just watching it on TV. Everything swung toward the Bills. Why would you give the ball back to Josh Allen? There was that key 4th and 3. Now, Lamar Jackson has since said he had cramps. After the game, John Harbaugh said most teams would punt in that situation where it's 4 and 3 and a first down ends the game. Most teams don't have Lamar Jackson. So I just think that the Ravens need to be ready to slip into a different mindset when that lead they systematically built throughout a game begins to crumble on them because they weren't able to hold on long enough to get the victory. And that's the kind of thing that can propel the Bills into becoming the team that we've been waiting for them to be under Josh Allen.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. We've already, we're preparing for a new starting quarterback due to injury with the 49ers with Mac Jones, and we're keeping an eye on where the first sit down due to lack of production might be on the quarterback front. Would you say big game for Russell Wilson in Dallas, or there's really no itching to get Jaxson Dart in there regardless of the record? Read some East Rutherford big blue tea leaves for me, if you don't mind, Mike.
Well, I think, Rich, that if the Giants believe that Jaxson Dart would be able to perform at a sufficient level, given the blocking that's available to him, I think he'd already be out there. The mere fact that they were reportedly preparing a package of plays for Jaxson Dart week 1 against the Commanders. I mean, this isn't the Cordell Stewart slash offense, right? If you've got a package of plays for the guy who is your starting quarterback in waiting, why are you not starting him? And I think they're waiting for the right time to make this move. I think it's inevitable that they make the move. I just think maybe they need a little more evidence that Russell Wilson isn't going to be the guy that they need him to be. And then they flip to Jaxson Dart when they think he's ready. And it's going to be when they think he's ready to go out there and play. Remember, when Eli Manning was a rookie, they were 5-4 with Kurt Warner. And they benched Warner because that's when they thought Eli Manning was ready. And some thought they should just ride that out. They have a winning record with Kurt Warner. Let Eli Manning sit until next year. So whenever they think Dart is ready to go out there and function, given the pieces around him, that's when he's going to go. And I think it could be as soon as week 3, Sunday Night Football, Chiefs at Giants on NBC and Peacock.
I mean, and then if it's not that, you're hard-pressed to look at their schedule and see something, if you will, soft enough, other than the fact that there's one at New Orleans after home dates against the two teams that played in Brazil, and the Giants, based on their performance in week 1, don't appear to be equipped to maybe come out with a win in those games offensively. But right after New Orleans is short week against the world champs before you visit Denver. Ask Cam Ward how that was. At Philadelphia, home for San Francisco, at Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's hard to see that spot where you're like, okay, it's probably best to put the rookie in now. Maybe week 5. If not, I know week 3 might be a little bit more interesting if it is a Jaxson Dart first career start for you and the crew on NBC. But I don't know. I don't see it. Where's the spot?
Rich,
you know,
I think week 5 is the one to watch because they could be 0-4 going into that game. And by then there's enough evidence. There'll be enough of an outcry from the fans. We got to do something. Here comes a winnable game. Let's see what we can do. And then after that short week, you've got a little more time to get ready for the game at Denver. It really would be something if for the second straight year, Russell Wilson is on a team that's going to play Denver and in Denver, and Russell Wilson doesn't get to play in that game. Last year he had the hamstring injury. It was early for the Steelers at Denver. This year he could get the hook before it's time to go play the Broncos in Denver. But yeah, they have a tough schedule this year. And I know every NFL team has an NFL schedule, but it just seems like everything is stacked against the Giants. There aren't a lot of winnable games. There's still a work in progress. And I just think the sooner they get to Jaxson Dart, the sooner he gets the reps, the sooner the game starts to slow down for him, the better equipped he'll be next year, assuming that the power structure is still in place and there isn't a new coach that wants someone other than Jaxson Dart. That's one of the ways dysfunction manifests itself with a football team. If you fire the coach and the GM after this season, the new guys inherit a guy they may not have drafted. I hope the Giants give this some time so we can see what Jaxson Dart's ceiling is with the guys who brought him in.
Mike Florio, before I let you go, sir, your book, Big Shield, available now for only 99 cents in ebook form, $14.99 for the print edition.
You don't need the graphic. I'm Carrot Top. I got props. I got props.
Look at you,
Speaking of Vegas, Carrot Top. Okay, very good.
It took me like a month to get these. Like, Bezos, what's going on, man? Like, why does it take so long to print up the books? Maybe it's because a lot of people are buying it. I'll tell myself that, and anyone else who will listen. It is actually doing surprisingly well, despite the fact that I wrote it. So yes, Big Shield, available on Amazon, 99-cent ebook or $14.99 for this beauty right here. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that cover. Forget the content. Buy it for the cover.
Beautiful. I love it. Maybe you sent it up with Gayle King for a second. Maybe you lost him up there. I don't know.
She was thrilled about that, too.
Oh, my God.
That was so good.
I think my crack staff is bored because look what they've apparently made. There's the Wrath of Khan. Oh, my gosh. I don't know what's up. I don't know why I'm in the middle right there, but
because that's where
it's all frightening.
Is that an AI generation? Is that AI?
I don't know. It certainly isn't real AI. That's for sure.
But you can't have, if you're Khan, you can't cover up the pecs.
I don't know. Hey, listen,
you gotta show it.
This is apparently like a real photograph of whatever was going on back in the 80s. But
the big reveal of the pecs was coming. He was getting ready to push them aside gently and throw the arms open and show the world the product of the Herschel Walker push-ups and sit-ups during TV commercials routine.
Something you read in your local newspaper there in West Virginia, I'm sure.
1985.
Mike Florio, thanks for the time, brother. We'll chat again soon.
Great talking to you, pal.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Florio, creator, editor-in-chief of Pro Football Talk. Go get his book, Big Shield, available now, 99 cents in ebook form, $14.99 for the print edition. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app, 12 to 3 Eastern.